Well, let me say first, I appreciate your agreeing. I negotiated an hour postponement with Sam at the airport last
You will
night.
certainly always have an agreement with me as concerning postponement for meeting in the morning.
Remember? I have in my briefcase something I'm going to show you. I sent to the library for some information that I thought I need.
Specifically, we have discussed the three issues relating to the text of the peace treaty, which have been the focus of my and Mr. Hansel's mission, and we have conveyed the Israeli views in some cases on these. We have listened to the Egyptian views. I will be looking forward to meeting with Prime Minister Khalil at some point during my visit here, and we will continue these discussions in that context.
How long do you expect to be staying in Cairo?
I have not yet fixed a time for departure. That will depend on a number of factors, and I simply cannot give you an answer to that today. On the question of this bilateral matter, I would refer you to the statement I made upon my departure yesterday from Israel, where I explained as much as I'm going to be able to explain publicly what those discussions are about. And as I said, this is something that we are basically discussing bilaterally, and so far as the Egyptian views towards it are concerned, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to try to comment on that.
Provided you do the same thing and reciprocate in Washington.
When it's in my power, I will.
Please, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm completely confused.
At 7:30 in the morning in that.
Yes, I still remember. It was 7, not 7.
It's indelibly engraved.
I have
You can give me the date, 21 of October. So on Saturday.
Still having talks on this subject in Israel, and while I'm still in the process of keeping our Egyptian
Have you
friends
finished
informed about this.
all bilateral issues between you and Egypt? Are there any similar cases?
With regard to the treaty, I think it's clear from Secretary Vance's last visit here where that stands, and I'm assuming you're referring to bilateral issues in connection with the treaty.
Is the difference against it in Egypt that
State Department along came.
Very glad to. I'd like first to thank the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and his colleagues for giving so much of their time to Mr. Hansel and me. We have been informing our Egyptian friends and colleagues about the discussions that Mr. Hansel and I have held during our visit to Israel.
Listen from Mr. Atherton is encouraging.
The Israelis have indicated some progress towards the Egyptian demands.
The first question was dealing with what I was listening to Mr. Atherton. I said it was always encouraging.
Mr. Atherton, did you convey the American views or only the Israeli views?
Well, again, I have to differentiate here. I think on the treaty articles, which are still a subject of discussion in the negotiations between Egypt and Israel, I conveyed certain Israeli views, and I am prepared to convey Egyptian views back to Israel. In addition, as I explained last night, there is one issue which is basically the subject of a bilateral discussion between ourselves and the Israelis, and I also explained where the status of those talks stands and our views in that regard.
Why is it a bilateral, Mr. Atherton?
Your meeting with Prime Minister Khalil will be today, or?
Well, that remains to be fixed. I'll have to leave an answer to that to Mr. Gyali.
Dr. Gyali, was it what you heard from Mr. Atherton? Is it encouraging?
Always what